Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again this morning. I was thinking that you probably are thinking as well that something strange is going on. You're probably thinking that you grew up in America and you think that you were taught on a level equal to standards required to exist here in America without being arrested and going to jail or acting crazy. So you did what was considered as normal. You went to church and they told you about God and Jesus, especially when they start telling you about the difference between right and wrong and how to stay out of trouble and what will get you in trouble. And you go through life trying to hold to those basic principles, and you do. Every now and then a few might fall through the crack, but for the most part. But then you realize that you got prisons and jails that's filled with people who have found some reason to violate these what we would like to consider as norms. They have abused women. They have robbed. They have played parts in crooked games. They've murdered. Well, you know, the grammar can go on, and you are quite familiar with the ones that you know of, so you know that it is true. But then something happens. One of your supposed leaders high on the level of importance seems to have violated these many of these same rules, and they were brought against him as violations of the conduct that is necessarily required of people in the position that he holds. And they said he's guilty, and we the people of America don't want him to be president. And the people had spoken, and they sent this guy over to the Senate. And the Senate, in essence, says we will not prosecute. And the world says, what? The people in the prison says, what? Those guys was doing time. And then many of the people in the Department of Justice who played a part in sticking to what they were supposed to do based upon what the rules allowed them to do, they were saying, what? But the Senate says, we've spoken. And so rather than being prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, he was set free again. And he went back into the public, proving that he's a criminal because the world saw him for what he is, even though he got off. They saw him for what he is. And he was allowed to come back. And when he came back, he didn't change his colors. He continued to do what he does. And the outcome was the same. The people says he's got to go. And the Senate says we won't let him. Wow, the people said. Something must be going on. What is this? And then the people said, well, we'll get him at the election. And they did. But he couldn't accept it. So he went and told the whole country. He rated it all over the world that This was a con game. He held himself up as being the greatest of all things. He was greater than Muhammad Ali. And let me see, was there anybody that's great? Uh, well, I'm sure, yeah, the Great White Hope. Or is he the Great White Hope? Because they keep putting him through everything. He keeps getting off with everything. All of the violations that other people can't get off with. They had a black president one time, and had he tried this stuff, well, he wouldn't have got away with it. And if he had been connected enough to get further on down the road than you would suspect, they'd have taken him out. But this guy, not only aren't the senators taking him out, many of the judges that he went through were not taking him out. And if some tried, he got the appeals to release it. All the way to the Supreme Court, they were willing to say that possibly the things that he does as President of the United States, or just while in a position of President of the United States, he cannot be held accountable for it. In other words, he's above the law. Now, somebody might be wondering, how did that happen? No one is above the law, they say. We've all accepted that for a couple of 100 years. And all of a sudden, someone comes along and violates all of these rules. Or, I don't mean all rules, but a whole bunch of the rules. And keeps getting off with it. And the people who sit back and reflect on what they learned, and the people who are in jail who are being punished for what they did, and we're all watching something happen that the rest of us are either paying for or practicing our conduct based on. And we see this, and you wonder what's going on. And it's set up till he becomes president again. And when he becomes president again, what is he doing? He's dismantling America from within. So, doesn't that say to anybody who's thinking that the reason that he was given the key to escape every violation that he had committed was so that this moment in time could happen, so that he could come and dismantle America? Then you might ask yourself, why in the world would that happen? I'm sure that this couldn't be his just thought, his design. He wants to dismantle America. No, this could not possibly be his idea. He's too busy chasing women. And anybody chasing women don't have time to do this kind of thing. He's a tool, a functioning tool for someone else. And we might say, well, who? Well, we don't have to worry about who it is. It doesn't matter who it is. The fact is, it is. And our concern is to make sure that it stops, or at least that's my concern. And I'm wondering if it's not yours. Why isn't it yours? Why are you being complacent and falling in line with everything that allowed this to be happening at this moment in time? Well, we really can't deny all of us truly are. Because who amongst us decided that it was not going to be and haven't given up? It wasn't us who tried to make things right. The ones who haven't given up are the crooks, the liars. They still haven't decided to accept their victory and tell the truth. No, it is the lie that got them here, and it is the lie they are sticking to. Well, still, the rest of us are wondering how. That's not the question. Question should be, what are we going to do? And what's taken us so long? Well, for me, ladies and gentlemen, for me, I always try to make it clear that if I say that these guys, what they're doing is wrong because it causes pain and suffering on many of us, then for me, if we try to change from the pain and suffering of the that we are receiving, then the action that we take, even though it's designed to eliminate our pain and suffering, it cannot, it must not allow pain and suffering for anyone. If it does, it makes us no different than that we're fighting against. We just at a different level, but it's no good. So what I'm saying is the same thing that basically I require, you require, any of us require, most of us require to some degree those same identical things. And everything necessary to allow that to happen, we are aware of them. So since we know these things and we know what it takes to satisfy you, the individual, then we basically know what it takes to satisfy you, the collective. And so what we must do, we have no choice to do but to do, and that's to do the righteous thing. That is to make sure that that which we have determined is necessary for the fulfillment and satisfaction of our lives, that we make it available for everybody, everybody. And how do we do it? Everybody benefits from it. How do we do it? Everybody engage themselves in the process of causing a manifestation of it. And to the degree, to the abundance that it never runs short. And any and everybody have access to it by being a part of making it. It makes us also part owners of it. And so what we used to require, such as money, what we used to require is other people trying to own it. We don't require that any longer. It belongs to the people for the benefit of the people so that we can, all of us, can experience our heaven on earth without bosses that end up being trillionaires and multi-billionaires while suffering in pain and violence and crime and jails and prisons as a consequence of what you leave the rest of the world. No, no, that's not good enough for anybody who knows love or anybody who's familiar with righteousness. So I'm thinking the American people are wondering, wow, how is that happening? And what are we going to do? I think we the people are going to change. I think we the people have gotten enough of seeing that someone can get in government and get in power as a crook and can bring a stranger in that nobody really knows anything about except that he's paraded around the world as being one of the richest men, and allow that man to come in and go into every last one of our lives. For what purpose, we have no idea because we know the crook that allowed him to get into this position. We don't know what he's up to. We don't even know why he's there. We're still wondering how long the American people are going to allow this man to stay there. They are the American people, all of them are walking around. They know exactly what Donald Trump is. They know that he is the kind that we have been taught to resist, that he's despicable in life and no one should imitate him. You know this. And yet we watched him violate all of that. And now we're sitting back, don't even believe that he's walking around here calling himself president. And many of us don't believe that we, the people, are sitting back allowing that to be happening, allowing him to dismantle this nation. All of us, judges, presidents of universities, CEOs of this and that, people who consider themselves very important, dignified people, went to this university, really smart, and all of this, and some very rich, and all of this, and they got position within the community and within the nation. And now you act like you got no power. You act like you're just as weak as the person that's sleeping in a tent in the wintertime because he ain't got nothing. You seem to be just as weak as that one. Ain't got nothing. So this one is railroading all over this country. So back, it's nothing complicated for me to tell you that you can try God. And God is simple. Treat everybody else like you want to be treated. God has given the resources to make sure that every last one of us can be treated like that. And all we have to do is pull off that lie that we were told that some of us are better than others and realize that we are only wonderful because we are wonderful. And not just that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to put that on your mind, give you something to think about. And I'm sure that having given it some thought, you'll see a little bit different, and your motivation will be a little bit loose when you start looking at MAGA, and you'll become a little distasteful with it. So until next time, Eddie Marcus saying goodbye for now.